Hello everyone, I hope everything is great. In last video of CSS, we discussed the priority of the different CSS implementation, how we add the CSS in HTML and what is the priority of these, right? So today we discuss some more element of HTML, and today's point is regarding the container element of the HTML. Let me increase the font. So today we are discuss the two element. One is the div and second one is the span. What what is the use of these two elements we discuss today. So let's start without wasting time. So I just create the basic HTML file and name the file as the container.html, and also I create an external CSS and name this file as the container.css, and also I link this CSS in the header. If you not aware how to add this thing, so you can check my older videos on CSS. I will provide the link in description section. You can check it from there. And also I open this HTML file in the browser. Currently this file is empty because the body section does not have any content, right? Okay, so let's start by adding simply one title, save and refresh, sorry. Okay, and in H2, first we discuss the div section and second we discuss the span. So actually both these elements are the container elements. Okay, so what is the meaning of container? So we have lots of HTML elements like paragraph element, like uh, hyperlink element, like image element. There are lots of elements. Okay, so those elements are the individual elements, and these elements are basically the container, like they can contain multiple other HTML elements. So if I add the definition, so what we can say, div element is often used as container of other HTML elements. So this element does not have any direct impact of the child elements. It only provide a container in which we can add multiple elements, or we can say this is in second way. What we can say, for line break, as we discussed, we use the br tag. Div defines the section of page so what we can say, like in any of HTML page, if we want to define the header section, we have some footer section, we have some content section, we have some sidebar menu section from where we can select multiple options, right? So these type of section dividation we can use for dividing this type of section by use of the div. Okay, and how we can add this div element, what is the exact syntax? For this we use the div tag and give the content here. So this way we can give a div, and inside the div we basically write the exact content. So let me give you one example. I'm just adding the div. So this is basically the syntax, and in this I add a paragraph. Save this thing. Multiple paragraphs. Maybe I can add one ordered list. So you can see this is basically a specific section, and we define this as the logical section, right? So this container have now the multiple section we can divide according to our page layout. Same way the span is also a container, so we can say span. So this is also a container element. It can have inside other elements, okay? But the difference is that div is basically the block level element and span is the inline element. Now what is the difference between the block and inline? So as we discuss in CSS, every element have some properties that we can define, like we change the color, okay? So this way every element have one property, which is the display, okay? And this display have multiple values, and in this display we have two value, BLO, block, and the inline, okay? So according to this value of display of every element, we can say that this element is a block level element, or this one act as a inline element, right? So what is the benefit of block and what is the usage of inline? Block elements are basically working as a block and start from a new line and ends with the new line, and also have some margins in the start area and at the end area, whereas inline is simply a container, or we can say inline is not having the next and previous line break as well as the margin. It act a simple with the existing layout, okay? So by default div have this display property value set as block, and span have the display value inline. There are multiple values can be assigned in display, like inline, block, flags, grid. There are multiple values, but we can divide according to the block and the inline, okay? Like as you can see, when I use this div uh, container, it starts from the next line. Same if in the paragraph, let me remove this br, save and refresh. You can say simply say that content section start from the next line and it have the margin at the start and at the end. But what if I use the span section, okay, refresh browser, and you can see this span section will be inlined with the outer text. So that's why its property, we can say span is an inline container and div as the block container. So this is the basic difference between these two container elements, div and the span, and both working as the container elements. We can use this in our daily website creation. Okay, in like in other videos we discuss the exact use of these elements. Okay, so that's it for this video. Let's meet in the next video. Bye bye guys.